And we are on. This is another Sunday. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the BNS podcast. Your host, Ike O. Today, my guest is Faye Bello. Who is Faye Bello? She's going to introduce herself in a minute. Faye has a great story, guys, and we can't afford to hear this. This is Women's Month. So, Faye, hey, happy Women's Motherhood and happy Women's Month again. We just want to celebrate all the women in our platform and women who are doing great and mighty things, and you seem to be one of them. So
Thank you so
I'm
much.
looking forward to the conversation. Thank you. All
Awesome.
right.
Thank you so much for having me.
So just tell us, who is Faye Bello?
All right. So Faye Bello is a serial entrepreneur. She's the founder and CEO of Swaddle, an app that is going to assist moms on their journey to motherhood in emerging markets like Nigeria, where I'm from. Yeah, I'm also the host of Motherwell podcast. Motherwell is one of the top parenting podcasts here in Nigeria. And I'm a mother of two, and I'm very passionate in ensuring that women mother well, women come into motherhood with all the tools that they need to ensure that they succeed in this terrain.
Awesome. Let's go straight into it, Faye.
Yes.
Swaddle. It's an
Yes.
app that you've built. What was the inspiration behind Swaddle? What made you go into this, and how well has it been embraced in the market? And I'd like to see how it's going to connect the Western world also too.
Awesome. Okay, so Swaddle is an app I built out of my very personal problem that I found when I became a mother here on the continent, and there was just no homogenized place to find information. I found myself almost going through back alley channels to find things like milk and to find things
Right.
like the certain type of the certain types of soaps and things that I needed, things that because I gave birth to my children in America and I came back to Nigeria. And so in America, you just walk into Walmart, you walk into Target, everything is there. But in Nigeria,
Right.
it's sort of it's just I don't want to call it a mess, but it's really a mess. Finding the right thing that you need at the right time can be little tasks like even just shopping for the kids, finding what you need and when you need it can be harrowing. I had a child in lockdown. I had a baby in 2019. So when we went into lockdown, I almost had to start feeding her things, force feeding her things because the things she liked, we just had no access to. And so I coming into, motherhood, I just felt like gosh, this cannot be the way every woman mothers on the continent. So I started checking my network and we're all suffering this in silence. And the world just goes past us. So no one actually really stops to look at the plight of mothers on this side of the world and to actively provide tools and resources to help us mother well. And that's essentially why I built Swaddle. So Swaddle is an AI assistant, it's a planner and it's a scheduler, and it also has a community feature. The community feature is yet to launch, but that is really our shining glory. And once that launches, what it will do is it anonymously allows moms to engage with each other. There's no greater resource for a mom like a mom with a shared experience. So it's almost a place to scream into the void and say, yo, I'm trying to do this. How do I do this? Where can I find the best doctor for this? Where can I find the best dermatologist for this? Without even knowing the person, as a mother, because you know what it's like to be on the other side of that need, you will just give the information. And so we're hoping to provide moms with those types of communities, because in the past we had these village. It takes a village to raise a child. We're losing our village
That's correct.
due to the way people are communicating, and communication has changed. So what can we create around what exists to ensure that women have exactly what they need when they need it, so that they don't struggle with the things that moms struggle with. And another thing that for me was postpartum depression. A lot of the reasons why people think postpartum depression exists, hormonal imbalance and all that, may be true, but the primary reason for a lot of moms I found was just the invisible load. There's so much on your plate, there's so much on your head, there's so much to remember, so much to consider. There's a doctor's appointment, there's their allergies, there's all sorts of things, there's the timing of things, and you're also a mother trying to figure out how to navigate your life and also prosper in your own field while you're raising children. And so what tool is there to ensure mothers are succeeding in motherhood, without crumbling and falling apart under the pressure? Because it's a lot of work.
Wow. Wow. Oof. As it sounds, motherhood is like, generally, I was gonna say something, but let me just keep my mouth shut before I get blasted by all the mothers.
Please say it. You
But
won't be the first to think it.
no, don't worry, because I think in some cases, the role of motherhood itself is sometimes overlooked,
Absolutely.
uh, in our society, and I can only imagine what women have to go through, not just after carrying the baby for 9 months up to term, whatever it is. and then now come out to now try to navigate all these things. It can be very daunting, for lack of a better
Daunting.
word.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we're going to talk about postpartum depression. Uh,
Depression. Yes.
yeah, so we'll talk about that. But I want to ask you, so with Swaddle, it's birth out of your own pain. Where do you see it? What do you want the outcome to eventually be? Mm.
Yes. So what I see for Swaddle is, I'm a mother. I show up in Indonesia with my two children. If I have the Swaddle app, I have everything I need to thrive there as a mom. I'm a mother. I show up in Amsterdam with no friends, and this app is intuitive. It knows my children, it knows their likes, it knows our daily schedules, it knows what we need, it knows about my son's peanut allergy, it knows that my daughter loves ballet, it knows that my three that at 3 p.m. every Wednesday we have to swim. And so what it will eventually do is, wherever you show up in the world, the app sort of carries your motherhood for you. It
Okay.
considers your very specific schedule, your very specific life, and it's able to pull in information that you need to continue your journey wherever you show up in the world. It's the kind of app I'm hoping that, if you're in diaspora, you're Nigerian, but you're in the diaspora, for example, if you had little children and you showed up in Nigeria today without knowing anyone, can you imagine how you would be able to navigate the terrain? I'm sure even thinking of that, you're wondering, you wouldn't know where to start. So if you have the Swaddle app on your phone, it should show you, oh, this is the pharmacy. This is where moms with children similar to your children swear by this doctor. They see 50,000 moms around you like this playground. 17,000 moms have said this product is their favorite. So it kind of sort of, because there really is no resource better than a mother there's no better cosign than for a mom to say, I've used this, I've tried it, I like it. And so what we
And
do
it
is we
works.
take all that information and we present it to you in time, so that you can make an informed decision based on the information, based on where you are in the world. So the same way you show up in the world and you have Uber and you have transportation covered, I want Swaddle to be the place where you show up in the world and you have your motherhood sorted.
Sounds exciting. The question now is, when do you stop using Swaddle? 18, the child,
So the
12,
thing is,
15?
what's interesting, when I was doing my initial, because a lot of this is backed by the mom. So I did a lot of this with focus groups. I had about 250 moms in my focus groups. I thought it would stop at maybe age 10. And the moms of children who were in their 20s were telling me, hang on, I have a child in university. I need to keep on top of him too. I need to figure out his schedule. I need to know what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Don't stop at the kids yet. We need help. And then we have people like my mom, who is a grandmother. She's in her 60s and she's a grandmother. And she's like, hang on, I'm a grandma. Sometimes I have to take care of your children. I need Swaddle to tell me what to do with your kids. So it's actually a going concern. It doesn't stop with any age. I find that just as you think it's tapering off, it's starting off again for another person. So I never thought my mom would be a Swaddle user, but here she is saying, I asked Swaddle what to do when the kids come over for sleepover, and it's telling me we should bake cookies. You think your children will like? I said they'd love that. So it's
Oh,
actually for almost, it's fine. I find that it's actually just as you think it's dying off, it's coming back up again. It's also for aunties. I have a lot of friends who are childless, who take care of my children like they are their own. My kids go and sleep over at their aunties' houses, and when those aunties start, they call me. What do the kids like? If those aunties are on Swaddle, they will need to ask me. They will just ask the app, and it will tell them what to do. And so I
well,
find that I thought it would stop at age 10. It's looking like it's actually it's looking like it's for any mom that just needs
you,
answers for whatever
you,
it is she's trying to do.
you'd be surprised that this Swaddle will be the answer to most men's nightmare. You think
See,
you think you're
let
dating
me
for
tell
women
you,
is
let me tell you a secret.
you know how many dads that with this
Let me
Swaddle.
tell you a secret. In as much as I'm labeling it, because my background is in PR and marketing, so I know how to sell. So my
Yeah.
background is PR marketing, so I'm selling to the moms, but it's actually secretly for the dads. Because my
Yes,
husband
yes.
uses photo more than I do, because
Of
he is the
course.
more clueless. He's the more clueless one of the two of us. So
Definitely.
I find that he's like asking it, what to do. There was a weekend where Swaddle actually told him to because we love Disney movies here, but we find that we've actually never watched the old school 90s Disney movies with our children. Swaddle was the
Mm.
one that was like, why don't you do this with the kids? And we're like, the things you take for granted. If it
Wow.
hadn't told us that in that moment, we would have just, because we're busy trying to find money for these children, but our minds are
No,
not really
I
settled.
definitely know how it, and
You
I
need
definitely know.
something to think for you sometimes, and so that's essentially what it's doing.
Awesome, 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 awesome. This is good. I bet your husband would definitely appreciate sport
Oh,
more than
he really
you,
does. He really
because
does. He's actually
most men don't get involved in the early stages of parenting, which is wrong, especially men from that part of the world where certain continents. Let me not
yes.
label all because I was very much of a hands-on dad,
Yeah.
so I know all my kids are grown now. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's good for us as men to get involved. And if we have something as simple as a gadget that we can actually speak to, that can guide us and make us feel more confident in our work as
Absolutely.
and our performance as men to
Ah,
help get these kids together, I tell you, there'll be
absolutely.
a lot of men they're praying for you quietly. Say, "Oh my
Oh
God,
no, we
God bless
already
you."
have them, and I hope they know that I'm actually here for them as well.
Awesome, awesome. This is good. Then you also host a podcast, Motherwell.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. What is the focus of the podcast?
So I'm a woman of faith. I am a Christian and I do love Jesus. And
Oh,
I
amen,
find
amen,
that
amen.
the biggest ally on this motherhood journey is my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And so
Amen.
what I'm doing with the Motherwell podcast is to really just explore motherhood, but through a faith lens, and how Jesus really is the solution to a lot of the things we're struggling with. Um, Motherhood is one of those things that really does bring women to their knees. And thankfully, thank God I was raised Christian, right? So when I found myself in trouble, with mental health struggles, with motherhood, I was able to run to Jesus. And and that relationship through motherhood has become something far greater than I could have ever imagined. And so what I do with the Motherwell podcast is to sort of tell that story of how your motherhood is great, but motherhood with Jesus is an entirely different terrain. And it doesn't just end with the mother, because what you find is the love you have for your child, you start to. I remember one time my daughter broke a vase, and she came to me with the broken vase, so full of sorrow and so scared, and she was like, "Mom, I broke your vase." And I was like, and she was like, "Mom, would you ever forgive me?" And I'm like, "Of course." And then immediately I heard the voice of God say, "That is me and you. That is us sometimes." Where you really
Yes.
do think that the thing you've done is so grave that I can't forgive. And I'm just wondering, how can I ever not love? So becoming a mom has given me context to the love of God, the love God has for me. And that is actually the good news I'm just trying to tell. I'm also trying to talk about the candid things of motherhood. I'm talking about body dysmorphia. I'm talking about mental health struggles. I'm talking about, finding friendship, losing friendship as a result of motherhood. I'm talking about all the ways that we change and our bodies change, and how we're able to still remain ourselves even though it's tough. So it's a
Yeah.
lot of beautiful conversations that the conversations I had hoped I was listening to before becoming a mom. I'm now having them, so that the woman considering motherhood can binge watch my content and make an informed decision on who she wants to be in motherhood.
Wow. Sounds like the great work of a millennial mom trying to prepare the
Yeah.
Gen Z moms for the next.
Honestly, that I really am your big sister in motherhood. By the time I'm done, I just don't want anyone to come into motherhood the way my generation went into it. I don't want that
Awesome.
for us at all.
I'm glad to hear what you just said about your podcast. Similar to the Broken Not Shattered podcast. If you look at the name, Broken but Not Shattered,
Mm,
it was a podcast that was birthed out of a very dark place in my life. And at that
mm,
particular time, I didn't want to take it on. I just said, no, no, no. I didn't hear well. For a long time, I left it on the burners. I didn't touch it. And then I kept on hearing prompting, I said, okay, I thought it was going to be a book, actually. And maybe it might be.
mm.
I haven't written that book
Maybe
yet.
you never know.
Yeah. So, but then eventually, I got the revelation that it was supposed to be through a podcast, and
Mm,
we started off, and we just kept on being consistent. And so, I just want to encourage you with what you're doing,
yeah.
even when you don't feel as if it's not working. Just keep on doing it. I have done this for almost 5 years. Every
Amazing.
Sunday, same time,
Mm.
3 p.m. It's clockwork. There have been days when I've been sick as a dog. I've been lying down on my bed with back pain or something else, and I'll crawl literally to the camera and put a smile on my face and hit the button for us to have this interview.
Amazing.
So,
Amazing.
and then as I began to grow, thank you so much. As we began to grow, I now realized that, you know what, there are other gifts in my team So I have a co-host, right? And so every time I'm not available, he steps in, right? And then building that confidence among the group that even if I'm not here tomorrow, that the Broken Not Shattered podcast will continue because it's a message platform that gives voice to the voiceless and gives hope to the hopeless. So there's a mother out there who's watching this right now who has felt so hopeless in everything she's gone so far. I'm letting that mother know right now that Faye Bello has a solution in Swaddle and on her podcast. Find a way just to go to her and get some kind of community being built. I think one of the biggest things we lack
Absolutely.
is that the lack of community. People, like you said, who feel the same pain, who are going through the same struggles. And we're going to take a break at this point. When we come back from that break, I want to discuss with you the issue of anxiety that mothers go through. Okay, and I think that would be a very good place to land the next portion of Broken No Shadows. If you're watching us for the first time, just follow us on all our social handles. It's the same thing at BNS or the Broken No Shadow podcast. I'm your host Ike O. We're gonna take a break, and for you, give us insight on the other side. And we are back. I told you, Faye, it's gonna be very.
Very,
I
very
told
quick
you,
break.
I told you it's gonna be a very quick break. All right, let's talk about afterbirth, motherhood, dealing with the birth anxiety. Um, whew, okay, talk to us. Talk to us. Let's unpack this thing. Let's take a few minutes and unpack birth anxiety.
So I find that for a lot of women, when you find out that you're pregnant, yes, there's the joy of the pregnancy and you're happy that it's happening. There's also that
Mm,
immediate fear of what the fear of the unknown, I call it. And it's a very, very potent fear. And that fear, what I found is that from the moment where you feel the fear the first time to the moment where that baby is born, the fear sort of tapers down. It
mhm,
tapers down into nothingness. Because when you see a woman, the woman that is asking questions in her first trimester versus the woman that is giving birth in her third trimester, they're not the same person. So there is something that happens from when the seed is planted in your womb to when this baby comes out. And that is
mm,
really, it takes, I always say, it takes 9 months to make a baby, it takes 9 months to make a mother. And so there is
mm,
a lot of beauty that is happening on the inside of you, mentally, in your heart, in your body, in your mind, spirit, especially in the spirit, where you are also being formed, you are also being created to be the mother to the child you're carrying. Now, with birth anxiety, there's a lot of physiological things to be afraid of. You you look at your body and you look at what your body to do, and it's about to do something that you've never done before. There is a legitimate fear there, but it doesn't stop just at the birthing. When you think of what it takes to raise a child, when you think of the fact that the world is a scary place. Look at the state of the world now. Any mother that is pregnant now is going through an insane amount of anxiety. You're not sure what's happening, depending on where in the world you are. There's
mhm,
some moms who are pregnant now where bombs are dropping in the skies. So with that fear, it's very potent, it's very real. But from my experience, I found that what happens is the version of you that is afraid of the very big thing, the very scary thing, and the thing that you have every reason to be afraid of, the version of you that births the child has ingested that thing. You've ingested the thing you're afraid of, and it's now gone on to give you longer limbs and longer legs and a bigger heart, and it's become your intuition. It's become your superpower in motherhood. And I always tell people, like, if you say you don't want children because you don't want children, then I'm fine with that. But if you say you don't want children because you're afraid that you are incapable, you have not met the version of you that is going to mother these children. And so making a decision from that very present fear is doing yourself a disservice. Making a
mm,
decision based because you've looked at it and you said this is not for me, I'll take that. But if you look at it and you say I can't do that, you haven't even discovered the version of you that can. And the thing about the version of you that becomes a mother is not only is she mothering the children, she's also mothering you. And so there's a lot of healing that comes from the person you become in motherhood, where you are now able to give the love that you. I think one of the beautiful things that the Holy Spirit did teach me in motherhood was love yourself the way you love your children. It was a very simple task He gave me, But
Wow.
it was profound because I'm not, you find that the inner voice that we have is not kind, it's highly critical, it doesn't give grace. But if I can make myself the third child, because I have two children, if I make myself the third child in the equation and I'm, well done, Faye, you did your best, good job. I talk to myself the way I talk to my children now. And it's like
Mm,
all of that wouldn't have happened if I didn't become a mother. And so the gifts motherhood has given me, I wouldn't take for granted. I wouldn't I almost can't believe my luck, you know. I feel very, very blessed that really has been the case. And so that's really how I feel about the
that's
fear
good.
aspect of it.
So, so how do we discuss postpartum depression? I
Depression.
mean, it's a serious issue. I've seen it impact a lot of
Yes,
mothers. Most times, most men don't even realize that's what their wives are dealing with, or the
absolutely.
mother is dealing with. They think she's acting funny or acting up, but she's
Or
actually
she's
depressed.
changed or she is depressed.
Yeah, depressed. So, and I know there's a lot of here in the Western world. There's a lot of awareness around that now. Um,
Mm.
how do you guys deal with it in maybe in Africa or in Nigeria?
I can't speak for the wider Africa and Nigeria. I can just tell you what I learned. So I went to
Yes.
therapy. I went to therapy after my child turned 1 year old. And that was when I discovered that I had postpartum depression. It was a very, very, it was a very emotional moment where my therapist said, Sophie, what do you do for fun? And I started to list out all these things I did with my child. Like, I enjoy bathing my baby. I enjoy feeding my baby. And she was like, Faye, that is you being a mother. Faye, what
Mm,
do you do for fun? And I go, I enjoy dressing my baby up. I enjoy I just kept talking and she was like, Faye, what do you do for fun? I think it's fun when I actually read stories to my baby and I see her respond and she's like, Faye, tell me one thing
mm,
you do for fun that doesn't include the baby. And I was
mm.
silent. And at this point my child is a year old. And so she's like, okay, talk me through what you did as a child. And so I start to go into, well, I wrote stories, I wrote novels, I loved fashion. She's like, do you do that now? And I was like, no, I don't. And so her homework for me was simple: go back and do the things you enjoyed. And so I started having to rediscover my childhood because at this point, I'm not even available to even know what I like. So I'm going back to my childhood to rediscover my childhood um, likes, my childhood interests in adulthood, seeing
Right.
what still applies and seeing how it's morphed and seeing. So from writing very personal stories online, I
Mm,
discovered podcasting. And like, oh, I'm open to share vulnerably. I'm open to have conversations that people typically are afraid to have out loud in the open. I started speaking up about things I was experiencing. I wrote about postpartum depression. I wrote about body dysmorphia, which is another big thing. And so I was able to start to discover myself. Postpartum depression is essentially what happens when there is a lack of joy and play in motherhood, and all you are consumed by is the duty. It is the lack of, because the opposite of depression is play. It's not joy, it's not happiness, it's active play, it's action. And
yeah.
there's this saying that my friends always say that you can't hit a moving target. If I'm constantly doing something, where will depression find me to actually, pull
Exactly.
me
Yeah.
down?
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
I had to start going out again. So I remember one time there's this place in Lagos called Upbeat. It's a recreational, it's like an indoor trampoline park. And one time my sister-in-law and I went there and we were like, yes, we're bringing the kids, but we're actually here for ourselves. And so it was one of those
Mhm.
things where we had to tell the children,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
don't run for cover. Mommy is here for herself. And we had the best time. And I started actively chasing my joy in a way that almost felt
Wow.
like I was fighting for my life. And those are the ways that I was able to, one, name the scary monster and then also start to like put an end to the thing.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Mm.
I like the way you said it, depression the opposite of depression is actually having fun.
It's
You know,
play, it's play.
play. Yeah, it's play and having fun while you're playing. All right, so we have some questions from the audience, and I'm going to give you two
Okay.
questions, and I'm going to ask you one more, and then we can start wrapping up the show. So somebody asked, how do you think mothers can protect their mental health while preparing for childbirth?
I think what you consume is very important. I would actually say I believe that biblically there's a scripture, First Timothy Timothy 1:18, I think, war with the prophetic word you've been given. So when you are pregnant, you're carrying a prophecy. That is the time to actually spend more time focusing on God and less time focusing on the things that could go wrong. Because the thing about pregnancy is you're just there, you're a sitting duck, right? You don't even know what is happening in you. You're unsure of it. I think most moms tend to try to consume the content and consume information that could prevent certain things. What will be will eventually be. Mothers need to find a way to be still and to just trust. I'm Christian, so I can only give, the advice from a Christian lens. Trust God
That's
and
so. That's
find solace, find solace in your faith, but also really do take the time to really be one with yourself and really enjoy the time that you have. The last time you will ever have with just yourself. Journal, write yourself letters, really enjoy that time. Travel if you can. If you can't, find things to do that would just be selfish in that time. Really just get to be still with yourself, because you will never be just yourself ever again. And if you're a mom having another child, you will never be just you and that child again. So I would even say take that time to be one with. If you have a child already and you're pregnant with your second or third, take those children and really take time with them, because things are changing rapidly and things that will never be the same again.
wow. That's a very solid advice. And I hope whoever was asking that question got the advice. There's another question here. It says, what advice would you give to a first-time mother who is terrified of giving birth?
What advice would I give to a first time mother who is terrified of giving birth? I would tell her that she is more capable than she could ever know. I will tell her that the very thing that she's afraid of, she should give it time, and she'll realize that not only is she no longer afraid of it, there is a power that comes from knowing you've overcome something that was initially your biggest fear. I find that from becoming a mother gave me so much confidence, because I remember being in the hospital room when my daughter was born and just being incredibly surprised at my ability. I was like, I wish I was told as a child that I was this powerful. If I knew I was capable of this greatness, how would that have informed how I saw myself as a child, and how does that inform how I show up even now? I remember
Mm,
one of the first few times my dad and I had not an argument, because we don't typically argue, but he was trying to tell me how to do something, and I just remember telling him, I'm a mother, oh. Like, I'm not your little baby girl. I am actually a whole mother that raises and manages. I am not a child. Like, do you know? Have you had children? You haven't. So we're not the same, and it does give you
oh
confidence.
boy.
And
Suddenly
so
he
I
was
really
like, you
want
know
I
what? You're right.
I really, really want first time moms to feel the feelings. I'm not trying to say don't feel the feelings, but also watch how that feeling morphs into capacity. So it goes from fear, and then it becomes capacity. It goes from fear and it becomes ability. It goes from fear and it becomes, your instincts, your wisdom. It morphs into tools for you. I think with motherhood, it starts off as fear, but it ends up being your superpower. It really does. That's where you see moms
I
say
like
things like, I had a feeling. I just had a feeling. I just
that.
knew. How did you know?
Right.
Or with someone like me, I have a 3 year old that is constantly bouncing off the walls. I'm sure we'll hear him scream in a second. And I just know how to be nimble around him. And my friends are always alarmed that I am so calm around his chaos. And it's because I have mastered it. God has given me the ability to be that child's mother. I know how to be still when he is making so much noise, and I know how to still work. I work from home. The kids are making noise in the corner, and I'm still able to, talk to my developers and make sure that we are updating our app and doing all the things we need to do. I'm on time with
Mm.
all my deliverables, and it's just capacity building. Really, motherhood is a great place to build your capacity.
No, no doubt about it. I mean, just to budget motherhood alone, on the average is about almost 30,000 before you give birth. The things that
Yo,
you have to do, and the first year, and everything else that that comes along with it. So, and then if you look at the motherhood industry, it's huge. It's a $1 billion industry here in
it's
this part of the
huge.
world. Yeah. So,
It's
so
huge.
there's
The care economy, which where motherhood sits, is actually $11 trillion.
there you go,
It's
there
an
you go.
$11 trillion. That's how much the paid and unpaid labor that it takes to raise and care for
Wow,
families and societies. That's actually what it's valued at. That's a global
11
figure.
trillion, $11 trillion. Can you
Eleven
imagine
trillion dollars.
for the care economy? Wow.
Entire
And they say
economy alone. Yep.
motherhood should be overlooked. They're not serious.
Mm. They're not serious, and they're also, and it's funny because they also thoroughly underestimate me. I'm here to make money, oh, and I will make that
Yeah,
money.
yes,
I
you will.
will.
Sure, you will. We're going to start wrapping up the show. There's something we call the drop-off question. The drop-off question is a question that my previous guest would have asked whoever today's guest was
Okay.
going to be, and they don't know who the guest is, so they just ask a question randomly, and then you have to answer that question, and then you have to now
Okay.
give us your own drop-off question for the next guest that's going
The
to
next
come.
person.
But
Okay.
before I talk about that, let's talk about body dysmorphia. You've mentioned it a couple of times today, and I think our audience would like you to take just a minute to discuss it as we begin to wind down.
Yeah. Body dysmorphia is a mental health condition characterized by an intense, obsessive preoccupation with minor or imagined flaws in physical appearance. So
Okay.
it's not always true. I categorize it almost as nobody sees you as closely as you see yourself. So you tend to
Correct.
over exaggerate the flaws that you see in yourself, because we live in a world where we're constantly being compared to each other, you are now comparing your up closeness to somebody's far awayness, and you're spotting things about yourself that you think everyone else can see but nobody actually sees or even cares about. And so
Well,
body dysmorphia is not truthful, in the general sense of it, but the story you've told yourself about your physical appearance is very true to you,
correct.
and there's nothing anyone else can do or say to change your mind. Once you've formed a thought about your body, it's yours, and there's nothing you can do about it.
So this is where you see women constantly going in for cosmetic surgeries over and over again, or they
So
start to
no,
lose.
I wouldn't say body dysmorphia is why every woman gets cosmetic surgery. There are women that don't have body dysmorphia that go for cosmetic surgeries. And I think, some women are happy the way they look. It's not like they are unhappy, but it's like I would like a difference. Body dysmorphia is not the reason why people go for plastic surgery. I think plastic surgery is not the blanket reason. Body dysmorphia is actually when there is no convincing you that all is well, even though all is well.
So that means it's more of a mental health thing that
I
comes
know
with a
it's a
lot of
mental health
anxiety.
condition.
You
Absolutely. It
yeah,
comes with a lot of
yeah. So
anxiety and obsession around. So that's when people say, this is my good side. Don't get me on this side. I'm not good on this side. This is my good
right,
side. Or
yeah,
I can only wear this color. I only look good in green. And it's like, what are you talking about? I've seen you in purple and you look fantastic. No, you probably didn't look
right.
well. I don't look good I don't like my arms. I don't like my legs. And it's like, what are you talking about? There's nothing wrong with your
Wow.
arms or your legs, you know?
Okay. Well, and I think that's one of the biggest challenges that you also see in today's. It's not just a women's thing because men also deal with
No,
such.
absolutely. It's
Yeah,
not just a woman's thing. I think if anything, women are just it's just been foisted on us because society is also very hard on women's appearances. But women go
yeah.
through body dysmorphia too. They
And
do.
then in the world of social media where everything is not real and almost fake, people begin
Yeah.
to take another person's fake life as if it's their real life, and like you said, want to own it. Well, we gotta wrap up the show, and so I gotta have to ask you this drop-off question. And the drop-off question from last week is very straightforward. It says, "What inspires you to do what you do?"
I think alleviating another woman's suffering is what
Okay.
inspires me to do what I do. I want another woman to come into motherhood knowing that she's considered, prioritized, taken care of, knowing that she's safe, knowing that there are things that she can rely on that exist that will catch her when she falls, um,
Wow.
knowing that she's not alone. Yeah, that's actually what I think I would say.
I tell people that's a fantastic response. I tell people that we are all created to serve.
Absolutely.
I say when I say that from a Christian perspective, I'm a born again
Yes.
Christian. I know what I say when I say that. We're all created to serve, and it is in your service that you will find out who you truly are and
Absolutely.
what your purpose really is. And
Absolutely.
your response just now just reaffirmed what I've always believed that you created everything to help serve other women, and it's in that service that you will find your
I
purpose and your
agree.
destiny. I truly appreciate
Thank you
having you
so
on.
much. Thank
I
you
won't
so
let you
much.
go without you asking your own question for the next person.
Okay.
So,
What's my question for the next person? What is your favorite thing about yourself?
what is
It's
your
your
favorite thing
favorite thing about yourself.
about yourself? I know what mine is, but I won't tell the show, and I won't tell it on this podcast. All right, not yet, not yet. Well, thank you so much for
Alrighty.
gracing this, for being
Awesome.
so
This has been
graceful,
really fun.
and yes, it was fun talking to you and all the challenges we had, but at least we got the show through the
We
end,
did, we
and I
did
know
it.
I
We got there in the end. Thank you, God.
um, I have, if you look well, you see 1,001 questions they're going to be asking you throughout the course of this session. Well done. It's been a joy. And as we wrap up, guys,
Amazing.
please follow us on all our socials. You can find us on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We're all over the place. We are not even on Spotify. And in our
Amazing.
precious, precious three words, I want to wrap up the show with peace, love, and more grace. Take care, Faye, and God
Take
bless.
care. Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye
Bye,
bye.
guys.